everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. For come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to this week's weekly recap, where we have a new football commit alongside positive news on the women's Catsketball side of it, and then all the other sports too. But before we start the episode and the weekly recap, we do want to thank the sponsor of the show, and that is Greg, Arthur, and Grandma. Thank you, Grandma. And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out the official supporters link in our podcast or Twitter bios. But let's start off with the newest commit for the K-State football team, and that is J.D. Davis, who is a JuCo transfer from Fort Worth, Texas. That is his original town, and I don't remember the specific JuCo, but he's actually someone that I think people are sleeping on, mostly because he's another one of those cases where, you know, unranked on On3 only has a 24/7 ranking, and it's a mid-level 3-star, and he didn't have any other Power 5 offers. Here's what I'll say. I actually really like this pickup for K-State. And a big reason for that is not necessarily that he's a size receiver. He's 6'1", 160. But he just has a skill set, or a blended skill set, that we haven't seen in a little bit at K-State. In a lot of ways, he's similar to Jace Brown, but I think that he's faster than Jace. And for that reason, I think that I don't think that he's going to immediately step in and be, you know, wide receiver 1 or anything. But I do think that he'll probably step on campus and start competing pretty early on in his time here.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It helps that he has a little bit of experience over some of the younger guys as well, because I believe he is a JuCo sophomore.
Yeah, I think he has 3-2.
Yeah, so he only has 2 more seasons to play, but does have a red shirt available. But he's at a Trinity Valley Community College, and his tape is fairly impressive. He's pretty fast. I wouldn't say he's got elite speed, but I do think that it's fair to say that he is a speedy receiver. Like he's not like Tyreek Hill level, but he's quick enough to call fast. And I think maybe more importantly, he's pretty quick side to side, and he's a fairly quick starter as well. He also seems to have fairly reliable hands. Could bulk up a bit, and he's listed at 6'1". I don't know.
5'11".
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking he's got 5'11" written all over him. And I think he's listed at 160 right now. I'd like to see him get up to maybe like 180, ideally. But otherwise, I'm actually like pleasantly surprised with this pickup. And I'm also a little surprised he's not getting a bit more recruiting attention as well. I'm not saying that he should be like a 4-star number 1 JuCo prospect, but I think he's way better than his offer sheet tells.
Yeah, and I agree. I very much agree with that. There are also a few other things to note. First, he's a December grad, so he'll be here in spring. So Coach True will be able to work with him far earlier than any of the high school guys, unless I don't remember if there are any high school guys. I'm sure a few of them are early enrollees, but J.D. Davis getting that opportunity to bulk up by getting here early. But despite his relatively slight frame, he's apparently been a little bit of an Iron Man who's played every single offensive snap for 7 of the 9 games on his season, which as a receiver at any level is genuinely very impressive. So despite his slight frame, he hasn't been injury prone up to this point in his career, which I think that's sort of been the big problem with K-State receivers as of late, is you'll get some guy who's really, really talented, but they just can't stay on the field. Malik, for basically the majority of his career.
Yeah.
Keegan Johnson, Jaden Jackson's been on and off the injured, or he's been injured on and off. But having that receiver who, again, I think Jace Brown is a solid comp for JD Davis. However, there's one area that I do have sort of questions about JD Davis. I think right now he shows up on campus and he's probably just a vertical threat because there's two things that are on his highlight tape: release, go balls, and then run after the catch. And you don't see a lot of purely technical route running in his highlight tape, which that was the thing that Jace Brown had in spades. So, but I don't think JD Davis will have a problem adopting that skill set just because in his run after the catch opportunities, he does show really, really good twitch and shiftiness.
Yeah. Just continuing to watch from his tape, he's also, his catch radius isn't insane or anything, but he does absolutely make the most of it, which is good to see. That, and one other thing I'll note from his tape is he's got a ton of highlights of him being a willing run blocker, which is something that you always like to see, which is not something you think of play to play, but he had quite a few very successful run blocking reps.
Which, again, for being as slight as he is with his frame, it's very good to see. Like, he's not going to be caught lacking on the outside run blocking. So in other words, he would be Bill Snyder's wide receiver one.
That's actually kind of a decent way to look at it. He's a JuCo guy who likes run blocking. This kind of feels like a Bill Snyder wide receiver, at least the ideal version of a Bill Snyder wide receiver, except maybe a little bit better than the ones he brought in, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. But welcome to the family, JD Davis. Happy to have you. And now we can move on to the women's Catsketball team, where they have just continued to nuke teams from orbit. After demolishing 3 consecutive tournament teams, one of which started ranked at the beginning of the year, they basically did the exact same thing to I believe we can generously call them lesser teams in Little Rock and Milwaukee. Up against Little Rock, K-State beat them 73-43, which that's with them stepping off the gas a little bit.
Yeah. And it was honestly, I thought that they really played kind of sloppy in this game. Like, I don't think this is anywhere close to K-State's best, and they still won very, very comfortably by 30, which is pretty impressive. I mean, Little Rock isn't a great team. Like K-State, we pretty clearly outmatched them, but we weren't taking full advantage of of everything that we could. That's not to say that we played poorly, but it's to say that we weren't really shooting great. We had some defensive lapses, particularly in the early part of the first quarter, which I think going into the first media timeout, it was like a 2-point game, and then it wasn't pretty quickly. But other than that, I mean, it was still a solid game, but just, again, it left me wanting more, and anytime a 30-point victory leaves me wanting more and expecting more, and not in a derogatory sense, but an optimistic sense. And that's a good feeling to have, because, I mean, this was a 30-point win where K-State left a lot on the court.
Which that shouldn't happen, but it's so funny. I'll take the starters for this one. Zy Walker led the team with 33 minutes played. She went 6 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. All 3 of her free throws were made. Got 2 rebounds, 1 foul, 6 assists to no turnovers, 1 block, 1 steal, and 16 points. So assist to turnover ratio is technically infinite because there were no turnovers, which...
Happy with that.
we take those, as the kids say. Ayoka Lee only played 15 minutes in this one. She was 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from her free throws, got 11 total rebounds, 5 of them on offense, 3 fouls, 3 turnovers, 1 block, 2 steals, 16 points. Her free throw shooting has been a little bit off at the beginning of the year, which, I mean, it used to be you had 2 choices. Well, technically you had 3. Foul her, hope she missed the free throws, which she wasn't, or just let her have the free throws, or pray and hope for divine intervention. But she hasn't been great from the free throw line early this year. I kind of expect her to figure that out because she has every other year. But Tamira Poindexter, who started off as probably the best player in the entire conference for the first 3 games, she was a little colder, and by a little I mean a lot colder this game. 22 minutes, 2 of 13 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. Did grab 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 block, 1 steal for 5 total points. So not at all efficient, but if you're going to pick an opponent to do this against, why not Little Rock?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't her best game. I was at this game. I wasn't really like checking the box score much, so I was honestly a little surprised to see her at 2 of 13 after the game, because she definitely did miss some layups. Really, the whole team. I forgot to bring this up earlier, but to start the game, we were just bricking layups like crazy. And it was boosting our rebounding numbers because we were generally getting our own rebound and putting it back up. But I mean, I think Kennedy Taylor had probably 2 or 3 occasions where she missed a layup, got her own rebound, and made it. Poindexter, I think, had that happen at least once, and had another time where somebody else got the rebound. So we were really kind of sloppy finishing around the rim in this game. But Poindexter was what triggered my memory on that, because I think she was one of the first to do that early in the game.
Yeah. And Serena Sundell didn't have her most efficient day either. 22 minutes, 2 of 7 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. Did get 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 block, 1 steal for 4 total points. Then rounding out the starting 5, Jalen Glenn, 19 minutes, 0 of 3 from the field. All of those were 3-point attempts. 5 rebounds, 2 fouls, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and weirdly no block or no steals, which very rare Jalen Glenn no steals moment.
Yeah, it was a little unusual. It was their first time not scoring this year as well. And this game also marked her first turnover of the season as well. Because going into this game, she had 0 turnovers and 13 assists. So she came out of this one with 14 assists to 1 turnover on the year.
Yeah, and that you can be happy with all the starters, but then you get into the bench players, and there are a few notable performances there as well, which you have, Connor.
Yeah, we'll start with Taryn Sides, who was tied for the lead in points off the bench and led in minutes off the bench. She played 25 minutes, 4 of 13 from the field, 2 of 8 from threes, not super efficient there. Finished with 10 points, then had 6 rebounds. She was actually really rebounding quite well in this game, but that she had 2 fouls, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, and a pair of steals. So like a lot of K-State in this game, with a handful of exceptions, not very efficient shooting the ball, but still doing enough to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, again, you beat them by 30. So
Eliza Maupin, she played 17 minutes, 5 of 6 from the field, 0 of 1 at the free throw line. So she gets 10 points in this one and was flirting with a double-double. She had 8 rebounds and then had a foul and a turnover. So a solid day. And also 3 of those rebounds were offensive rebounds, worth mentioning.
Yep. Offensive boards, good.
Gisela Sanchez played 22 minutes, 1 of 5 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. So she gets 5 points on the day, including her 2 free throws that she made. And then she had 7 rebounds, 2 fouls, and 2 turnovers. So again, a pretty inefficient day for Gisela Sanchez, but not necessarily unusual. And then Amani Lester, 14 minutes, 2 of 3 from the field, 4 points. Did get 7 rebounds, though, which was good. Then she had an assist and a couple turnovers, which the highlight for Amani Lester in these last couple of games has been that she's actually had pretty good passing in the post, which has been a little surprising to see that she is almost more comfortable being a distributor in the post than she is actually going back to the basket and trying to score, which is a little strange. But then there's been a notable omission so far, but it takes us to the last bench player, and that's Kennedy Taylor, who played 11 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 at the free throw line. So just 3 points for her, 5 rebounds, a foul, and then a steal as well. So a solid performance for her, but like I was saying earlier, she had a couple occasions where she just kept missing, and she was cleaning up some other misses around the basket. So not, again, team wide, really a pretty bad day shooting. 41% as a team from the field, only 20% from 3, and 57% from the free throw line. So not great numbers there at all. But the defense was, outside of like the first probably 5 to 7 minutes, pretty good in this game.
Yeah, and that's always been the hallmark of the midi teams of over the past few years, have been just suffocating defense. But that does kind of carry over to the next game, but there was also a lot of offense to go with it, where K-State just woodsheds Milwaukee 111-46. This is one of those moments where theoretically we could just kind of move on from it because, we don't like covering blowouts either way. However, let us enjoy this because the rest of the sports aren't doing a damn thing. We're going to enjoy this. You want to cover the starters this time?
Yeah. This is a much more fun game to cover, even though the previous game was a 30-point win. This was very quickly approaching a 70-point win, but weren't quite able to get there, so we'll have to settle for a 65-point victory instead, which I think I can make myself okay with. But this was a just complete and utter domination from start to finish. Like, this was never a game that was even a little bit in question. At no point was I worried. In fact, before I even got to my seats, I was getting some popcorn, and I heard Ayokule's name called like 3 or 4 times, like the first 3 minutes. So by the time I got to my seats, it was already 8-0. We were like 2 minutes in. So, but now I'll go and get into the stats. Ayokule only played 20 minutes, but more than made her presence known, going 11 of 15 from the field and 3 of 4 at the free throw line for 25 points, 7 rebounds, 1 foul, 2 blocks, and a steal, and doing all of that in just 20 minutes of action on the court, which is pretty absurd. And it marks the third straight game that she has played where she has had more points than minutes played, which is, for those at home, rare. And I believe I saw K-State Stats and Info tweet something to the effect of she is the only player averaging 19 points a game or more on, I think it's 15 minutes per game or less. So she's been just unbelievably efficient to start the year. And she's not even 20 minutes in this game was the most she's played all season. So it's remarkable.
Seems good.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. But another maybe unsung hero from this game was Jalen Glenn, who was even more efficient than Ayoka Lee. She played 29 minutes, 7 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, missed her one free throw attempt, and finished with 17 points, and then had 3 rebounds, 1 foul, 2 assists, a turnover, a block, and 3 steals. So she did a little bit of everything.
This is like the second time that we've been a free throw away from a stuffed stat sheet. I think Zai was the first one to do it in game 2.
I think you're right. But Jalen, outside of barely missing stuff in the stat sheet, she really was just incredible in this game as well, and played really great defense too, like she always does. But moving on, Serena Sundell, after a not great performance, she was much more assertive in this game. Played 26 minutes, 6 of 9 from the field, only took 1 3 and missed it, and went 4-4 at the free throw line. So she had 16 points, then adds 6 rebounds, 3 of them on offense, then 5 assists, 2 turnovers, a block, and 2 steals. So a really quality game from Serena Sundell as well.
Nothing really to add here, but we had a near triple-double as well.
Zai Walker came extremely close to getting a triple-double, but somehow didn't even get a double-double, which that's a tough break there for Zai Walker. But she finishes 5 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, and makes 2 free throws, 13 points for her. And then she gets 9 rebounds and 9 assists in this game. So just a rebound and assist shy of getting a triple-double, but just couldn't quite get there. And then she had 2 fouls, 2 turnovers, and a steal as well. So another really incredible performance from a K-State starter, kind of running out of superlatives at this point.
Yeah, I have nothing to contribute to the near triple-double from Zai Walker.
Yeah. Over the course of the season now, she's averaging 6.2 assists to 1.4 turnovers per game, which we are quickly approaching Marquise Noel levels of
efficiency.
Average of efficiency, and also with fewer turnovers as well. Granted, it's almost cheating when half your assists are just lobbing it into Ayoka Lee and letting her do the work, but they still count in the stat book. I think it's still the last starter for K-State. That's Tamira Poindexter, who, after a scorching hot start to the season, has cooled off a little bit, but she still played pretty well in this game and made some really athletic plays. She played 25 minutes, 3 of 7 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, and made 2 of her 2 free throw attempts. Then 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 foul, 2 assists, no turnovers for her, and then she added 3 steals as well. So she had a few very athletic layups in this game, and she just missed a few open threes, which we've seen her from the beginning of the season, just get absolutely red hot from 3. So we know that's a possibility. She's just in a bit of a slump right now, and it's generous to even call it that. It's only been 2 games, so we'll see if it continues. But
right now, I'd just call it the law of averages.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. But I mean, yeah, pretty much every starter for K-State in this game was fantastic.
And then there were a lot of notable bench performances as well. Taryn Sides played 23 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3 for 11 total points. 1 rebound, 1 foul, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and 2 steals. So, no, there wasn't – she didn't out-rebound her assist numbers this time, which still insane that that's happened twice. But it really, really solid, efficient, especially from three-point land. I think that's going to be – I do think that Taryn can develop into a little bit more of a complete skill set, but right now the skill set of occasional insane pass, take care of basketball, shoot deep 3 is a very, very – it's a very good skill set to have. And especially when you have so many people on this team that are capable as a point guard. Serena's played it, Zaya's played it. So they could really switch off at any given time just with that trio alone. And it's really just complementary depth. And I think this is a performance that sort of best demonstrates that from Taryn.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But it seems like this year so far, playing on what you're saying, she's really been adjusting how she's been playing to her best attributes right now, which is what you're saying. Making some great passes and taking threes. She was already a pretty good 3-point shooter last year, but she's been consistently very good this year.
Yeah, which that should be the majority of her game. And not to get ahead of ourselves, but I think that the future, even past this year, where you have your two primary guards being Taryn and Zai, like that's still a really, really good set of guards there. But Gisela Sanchez played 19 minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, made her free throw, got 5 total boards, 3 of them being offensive, 1 foul, 7 assists, no turnovers, 1 block, and a steal for 10 points, a turnover away from stuffing the stat sheet. So
I think we'll allow it here.
We count those.
I'm going to count that, particularly for Gisela, who I think throughout this year, through last year, she really struggled at times. But this year, it seems like, if nothing else, she's been playing a lot more confidently. And I think 7 assists to 0 turnovers is pretty indicative of that. So one of her best games of her K-State career so far.
Yep. And we take those. But Kennedy Taylor played 10 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field, got 4 rebounds, 2 of them offensive, 1 foul, 2 blocks for 6 total points. Not much really to add there.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is I think it was early third quarter. She got undercut on a rebound attempt and landed hard on an elbow and had to be helped off the floor. But she didn't leave the bench. She didn't go to the locker room or anything. And from what I could tell, she was moving her arm and extending it just fine. She was rubbing it a bit, so it was probably just a stinger. And I think by that point we were at least approaching being up by 40. So I think Mitty did a quick analysis and elected to confirm that it's not worth it to risk any sort of injury. So I think that's why we saw so little Kennedy Taylor in this game. But hopefully she is ready for our next game against Duke.
Yeah, because that'll be a big one, not to get ahead of ourselves. But the final two are Eliza Maupin, who played 14 minutes, 2 of 3 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 of them offensive, 1 turnover, 2 blocks for 4 total points. Then Amani, 0 of 3 from the field, 1 of 4 on her free throws, 6 rebounds, 4 fouls, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 steal for 1 single point. That's sort of been, well, Amani has a few sort of flaws to her game right now. I think she's still very much developing, I think is the generous way to put it. I still think that she can. I don't know why. I still have no idea why I am perhaps the world's biggest Amani Lester believer, but she's still very much developing as a post player, which she's picked a good year to do it.
Yeah. I will say she really did get the short end of the stick on one of the fouls that she was called for, because from where I was sitting, it was very obviously Gisela Sanchez, and Gisela even was the one that reacted when the whistle was blown, and she looked a little surprised when it was not her. So Amani, unfortunately, was some tough luck on one of those foul calls, but it was one it wasn't absurd because they were both right there in the post. But I would have called it on Gisela, I think. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, not much. But there are a few things before we talk about the Bulldogs Classic. K-State should now be the highest ranked team in the Big 12 because Iowa State ended up dropping a game to UNI. So take that for what you will, but they have presumably 2 really, really difficult matchups in number 14 in the country, Duke, and then probably number 9 in the country, Oklahoma, unless DePaul is able to beat them, which it can happen, I guess. But
it's possible.
The downside is that they're only being televised on Flow College, so enjoy smaller vision because there's not a soul who. At this point, it's a matter of principle for me.
And I guess there's also the question of will we even get smaller vision, because he may be down for the Paradise Jam.
Ooh. Dang.
Because that would normally be Wyatt, but Wyatt, he's got to call a football game on Saturday, so can't be him. So I'm wondering who we're gonna get. If I'm wagering a guess, it might be Matt Walters, but he's normally the sideline guy for football. So
damn.
I wonder what they're going to prioritize there. Number 3 for football or number 1 for basketball? I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to organize all of that for the AD this weekend.
You know what, Connor? I think it's time that we volunteer to go down and call this game, so long as K-State is willing to pay for our tickets to the game and also our travel.
I would take that deal. I think that's a really good deal. I would even take a deal where they just pay for the Flow Hoop stream of it and just delay it, and we just call from the stream.
My stream's ahead, guys. But yeah, massive games up ahead, up against Duke and Oklahoma, where this team has proven their ability to be dominant against tournament teams or teams that should make the tournament. Now we get to see how they fare up against 2 top 15 teams. So this will, for all intents and purposes, it should be a dogfight. No pun intended with it being the Bulldogs Classic. But these should be amazing games. If it's one of those situations where if you're able to escape 1-1, I'm happy. If you somehow escape 2-0, oh boy, I'm going to be annoying. I'm already annoying with this team, but whoo, baby.
Yeah, it's a massive upcoming slate for the women's team. So I'm really, really hoping that we can get 2 wins out of this. It will hurt my heart if we aren't able to. I'll at least be able to take the solace knowing that we would have lost to a good team no matter who it is. Unless I guess we lose to DePaul or something, then I'd be pretty angry. But
why live at that point?
So, but otherwise, I mean, this is a really big opportunity to build your tournament resume. Not going to be many better opportunities than that throughout the season.
Yep. All right, Connor, ready to be sad again?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, men's Catsketball team. They beat literally the worst team in Division I college basketball in Mississippi Valley State, who lost by, I think, 70 up against Mizzou, who is not a good basketball program. And we only beat them by 18. So, yippee. Good for us.
Yeah, this was not an inspiring performance by the Fightin' Wildcats. Not at all.
No. And I'll zip through the starters, but really all you need to know and take away from this game is K-State shot 36% from the field and 13% from 3, which my sources are reporting that's really bad.
Made a lot of free throws, though. 92.59% from the free throw line, 25-27.
We got the free ones. But CJ Jones played 27 minutes, 2 of 5 from the field, 8 of 9 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 3 fouls, 3 assists, 3 turnovers for 12 total points. fine. I really don't want. I just kind of want to breeze through this.
Yeah.
Dave, love you, Dave. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, I was just agreeing.
Okay. Love you, Dave. 22 minutes, 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 2 on his free throw attempts. Great job, Dave. 5 offensive rebounds, 2 fouls, 1 assist, 1 steal, 10 total points. Brendan Hawson, 34 minutes, 2 of 11 from the field, and 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 foul, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal for 8 total points. So I guess we'll give the stuffing the stat sheet to him the same way that we gave it to Gisela, where he was just a turnover short. Take that for what you will, Brendan.
Sure.
Max Jones, 22 minutes, 2 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line, 3 of 3. 5 rebounds, 1 foul, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 block, 7 total points. Then rounding out the starting lineup is perhaps the stinkiest performance of them all. And I can say that, A, because he doesn't know who we are, almost guaranteed, and B, he called his own performance stinky. Coleman Hawkins, 32 minutes, 1 of 11 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. Did get 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 3 steals, 2 total points. So a lot of... I'm not even going to say a lot of uninspiring, because I think uninspiring is being far too generous. That's a lot of just ass.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly, if you want to be generous, which I don't really want to, but I'm going to be hypothetical. 13 rebounds is impressive, especially 7 offensive. 4 assists is pretty decent too. But when you're as important a piece as Coleman Hawkins is, 1 of 11 from the field against the worst team in Division I, particularly when the rest of the team was not really picking up the slack. Because it's one thing if, we win this game by like 50 and Coleman just has like a freakishly bad game. Like, we wouldn't really care that much. But, we only win by 18. This is a game that prior to it happening, I said I wanted to win by 40. Like that was what I wanted to win. I think that's where the line was as well.
Yep.
But yeah, this is just a really unacceptable performance from Coleman Hawkins. At least he knows that. It's the silver lining, I guess. If you want to take one, which I don't blame you if you don't want to. But yeah, he's got to be better than that.
Yeah, but the good news is it's not hard to be better than that. But anyway, you have the bench players.
Yeah, which we can start the bench players on a bit more of a positive note with somebody that had maybe the best game of their career, not just the K-State, but overall, and that's Ugana Onyenso. He went just 12 minutes, 6 of 7 from the field, 4 of 4 on his free throws, and finished with 16 points. Had 4 rebounds as well and blocked a shot. So a wildly effective 12 minutes for Ugana Onyenso. I suppose makes you wonder why he only played 12 minutes, but I digress. There's much larger issues at play. Buddy Rich, he played 14 minutes, 3 of 4 from the field, had a thundering alley-oop 1 point in the first half out of a timeout. And then made his 2 free throws. So he got 8 points in this one. Then had 5 rebounds, 3 fouls, 2 assists, a turnover, and a steal. So a pretty good day for Buddy Rich, all things considered. David Castillo played 20 minutes. Was 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Then had 1 assist, 1 turnover, 5 points. So not a ton of production, but still a very, very young player in David Castillo, and I'm willing to be very patient with him. So I'm not too worried there. Chor seems to be breaking the rust off still, which is a little surprising, but only played 10 minutes, 0 of 3 from the field, 4 of 4 at the free throw line, so 4 points for him. A couple of rebounds, a couple of assists, and a couple of steals with 1 foul. Then Byfall played 7 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 of them on offense, then a couple turnovers and a couple blocks. But that rounds out the all the players and their stats from this game.
Yep, and there's two notable things. First, no Doug McDaniel for quote-unquote coaching decision. So someone's in trouble. But it's
back in the doghouse.
Welcome back, buddy.
I've been making pay rent in there, man.
Help the NIL budget, damn. But the second one is just full disclosure, and Connor can speak more to this because I was off doing better things with my time. But and that's not meant to be a dig at this team, but it is. But I've heard that the main complaint from this game was just a general lack of effort. So is there anything that you could speak to that?
I think that's a very fair characterization. I felt like a lot of the game was pretty low energy, particularly the first half. Things I thought were better in the second half, but it was frustrating that the team was a little lackadaisical for so much of the game, and it's really quite frustrating. Another interesting thing is only 10 turnovers in this game. So if there's anything this team has done that's been an improvement from last year, is they are not turning it over anywhere near as much as they did last year. But regardless of that, the energy has been too low. They also just had a freakishly bad shooting day, which I think kind of ties in with their energy levels. I mean, they were taking and missing open shots that we've seen them hit. We've seen Brendan Hassan, get like 20 plus points in a game, mostly off of 3-pointers. In this game, he was awful from 3, 2 of 11 from 3, and pretty much every miss he had was a wide open 3. So I think that mostly ties in with how engaged players are, how energetic they are. I'm not a coach. I don't know these guys. I don't know if that's true or not. But when other factors can't be applied, like great defense, this is the worst team in Division I, so it's not great defense.
No.
And for clarity, I am talking about Mississippi Valley State in case there was some confusion there. But outside of that, I mean, it wasn't great defense, and it wasn't that we're a team filled with, I think, objectively bad shooters. I think there's a lot of guys that historically are actually pretty good shooters on this team, including Hassan. And we've seen some of these guys have good shooting games. Max Jones shot really badly this game, but we have seen him have very good games shooting the ball at K-State. So I think it comes back to energy levels and how engaged players were. And I think we probably had a hangover from the crappy loss to LSU. And I think people were just going through the motions. That and no Doug McDaniel for whatever reason. And so, yeah, it's a really frustrating performance that was a win that felt like a loss.
I will say that I don't think either of us have a problem with the two Daves, David Gasson and David Castillo. Both of them have been, they're David Gasson still working his ass off every single time.
David Gasson is still he's a better version of what he was last year, I think. And he's been very high energy and very efficient. I don't have any issues with David Gasson. I don't have any problems with David Castillo either, because he is one of, at least as of now, the few that seems completely engaged all the time, which I have been happy with that. Despite his poor efficiency, he's not turning it over a ton, which has been good to see. But the shots will start falling for David Castillo. I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah. But the next matchups for the men's team are a 4 consecutive game stretch in the Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. First is up against George Washington. Then the next 2 is either Liberty or Louisiana. And then who knows for the 4th game. I just kind of want the team to show that they at least have a pulse or a soul in this game. I mean, first off, anything but 4-0 would, going into the Paradise Jam, would make me extremely sad. But I just want them to show a pulse, man.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing to keep an eye on is energy levels. Which maybe what this team needs is just an opportunity to just go somewhere else for a little bit and like refocus and reload. Maybe they're going to come out of this looking like a completely different team. Maybe they're going to look exactly the same. But I guess the one benefit, though, or the one maybe caveat I guess we can have for their performance so far this season is that at the end of the day, it is only 4 games into a 30 game season, and there's still plenty of time for things to change or materialize for this team, and this could maybe be a good opportunity for them to do it.
Yeah, just an opportunity to sort of figure things out. But that leads us into the Volleycats, which we'll cover briefly because they had one really, really good win and then one head scratcher, which welcome to Mansfield volleyball this season, I guess. They ended up sweeping, K-State ended up sweeping number 18 in the country, TCU, who is 17-6 going into this. End up sweeping them 25-23, 27-25, and then 25-23 again. So I don't think it was ever a bit, but I don't think that we could undersell the home court advantage that is Morgan Family Arena. Like that, home court advantage got hands.
Yeah, I was very happy with this win. It was the first ranked victory of the year and quite a few tries and a few close calls as well. But in case they finally gets over the hump there, I think it's too little too late at this point. But it was still a really great performance against a very good TCU team, and a TCU team that who will almost certainly be Big 12 Player of the Year, Melanie Parra. But K-State did a fairly decent job defending against her. She only hit 173 in this game. So a fairly decent job for the Cats there.
Yeah, and we can go over stat leaders for K-State. Leah Carter, 22 kills, followed by Anaya Clinton with 12 and Meg Brown with 4. Aces, Jordan Williams with 2, Ava LeGrand with 1. Blocks, Brenna Schmidt had 5, and Shaylee Myers had 4, with Aaliyah Carter right behind them with 3. Assists, Izzy Sholszewski, 33, Ella Larkin and Ava LeGrand, 5. And then Izzy Sholszewski had 14 digs, Ella Larkin had 12, and Ava LeGrand had 11. So, good performances. Aaliyah Carter showing, again, her upside, and Izzy Sholszewski showing once again that she's really good setter. So.
And Aaliyah Carter was fantastic in this game. 22 kills and 10 digs, getting a double-double in just 3 sets is really electric from her. And it's the type of performance where if you had seen it like pretty much the entire season, that maybe this year's gone a little different. It's just been a little lack of consistency, but no, she was fantastic in this match.
Yeah, and then K-State turns around and loses to a really bad UCF team in Orlando. Lose to them 2-3. And the worst part is they took the first set 25-10. So they quite literally assassinated UCF in the first set and then just dropped the next one 25-27, win the next one 27-25, then lose 25-19 and then 15-11. So it's just kind of a brutal performance.
Yeah, I saw that we won set 125-10 as I was pulling into the parking lot for the women's basketball game, and then I just kind of didn't really pay much attention to it for a while until we got to, I think, set 4. I was like, what happened here? How is it that we allowed UCF to be in this at all? 25-10 is like non-conference, like cupcake schedule stuff. And even then, that's like more than what you normally see in a game like that. So this is a kind of a mind-boggling, head-scratching loss if you're K-State, particularly coming off of a ranked win where you worry about focus. And the first set should clear you of that, but This is just a weird match all around as well because Leah Carter did not start in this one, and she didn't play in any of the first 2 sets, but played in the last 3. Meg Brown only played 3 sets as well, which was a little strange. And we also saw Mackenzie Jones play in this game. I believe she started. Reagan Fox, who has not played all year, she started in this match and actually had 7 kills on 10 attempts, which pretty good. But I'm wondering if there's a reason for that beyond Mansfield just experimenting and like trying to get new faces on the floor. But I have no idea why that went the way that it did.
UCF, the UCF broadcast didn't have any idea either, so I don't know either. I'm gonna keep it real. I have no idea.
Nia Clinton, she also was fantastic. 25 kills on 49 attempts with 8 errors. At one point, she had like 9 kills on 11 attempts or something like that. Like in the first set, she was just going absolutely crazy. But K-State, despite a really fantastic start, where in the first set they hit nearly 50%, they just completely collapsed. And in set 4, UCF hit 61%. They had 14 kills on 23 attempts and 0 attacking errors. So that's not a recipe for success, according to my calculations. But yeah, there's no other way to describe this other than a choke. This was a complete choke.
Yeah. And just to look ahead at the last part of the schedule, it's up against KU at home this Sunday, up against Colorado next Wednesday, then number 24 BYU next Friday. And then I'm not even going to pretend that the season won't be over after that. So only 3 more Volleycat matches left on the year, which, I mean, the season's been disappointing, but we talked about that pretty much every single weekly recap since September. So I don't feel like we need to recap that.
No, I don't think we need to either. Other than I am kind of excited to I think I'm going to catch the match on Sunday against KU, and I think I'll try and make it to I probably won't make it. It's Black Friday to the last match against BYU. But I'm definitely going to catch that KU match on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, because we really should have gotten them in Lawrence, and I'm hoping that we can put together an upset bid there.
It'd be nice, but do you have any final notes before we sign off?
I think pretty much every sport but football had their signing days last week and announced their classes. Because it's every sport but football, we do not have the time or capacity to cover all of them. But I think most of them do have write-ups of some sort on K-State's website. I know the track class does, if nothing else. And the track class was actually fairly impressive, so I'd give it a read if you have some time. So I'll just send you that direction as opposed to us covering it here.
That's probably a very good choice, Connor. Yeah. But thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I am at ACEdwards00.
I am at Connor Bouncler, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out both the supporters link and the merch store link found in our podcast and Twitter bios. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.